Welcome to Vintage World, where we journey into the cultural battlegrounds that shaped modern Britain. Today, we explore how a native language was systematically removed from the mouths of its speakers. This is Erased Voices. For centuries, Welsh was the language of poets, bards, and everyday life across Wales. But by the 19th century, speaking this ancient tongue became a punishable offense in classrooms across the land. This is the story of how educational policy became a weapon of cultural suppression and how a language nearly vanished within generations. Imagine being a child in a Welsh school in the 1800s. You arrive speaking your native tongue, the only language you know, only to find it forbidden. Teachers enforced this rule using a simple but brutal tool, the Welsh Not. It was a wooden block, sometimes inscribed with the letters WN, hung around the neck of any child caught speaking Welsh. The horror was that you weren't the only one policing yourself. To avoid punishment, children were forced to inform on their classmates. If you heard a friend slip into their mother tongue, you had to report them to pass the dreaded block on. At the end of the day, whoever was left wearing the Welsh Not would receive a beating. This simple piece of wood became a powerful symbol of shame, teaching young Welsh speakers that their language, their very identity, was backward and wrong. The public shaming in schools was soon reinforced by official government policy. In 1847, a series of reports on Welsh education were published by the British government. In Wales, these documents became infamous as the treachery of the Blue Books. The reports painted a damning picture, describing the Welsh people as immoral, lazy, and ignorant. And the primary cause for this supposed inferiority, the Welsh language itself. One commissioner wrote, "The Welsh language is a vast drawback to Wales and a manifold barrier to the moral progress and commercial prosperity of the people." The message from the highest levels of power was crystal clear. To get ahead in British society, to be seen as moral and successful, the Welsh language had to be abandoned. Speaking Welsh was now officially linked to poverty and failure. This cultural assault was solidified with the Elementary Education Act of 1870, which made schooling compulsory across Britain. For Welsh children, this meant being forced into schools where English was the only language of instruction. Imagine sitting in a classroom, day after day, unable to understand a single word your teacher is saying. There were no provisions for Welsh-speaking children. In fact, school inspectors judged teachers on their students' ability to speak English, creating a powerful incentive to stamp out any trace of Welsh in the classroom. The pressure was immense. Parents, desperate for their children to have a better future, began speaking English at home, even if they were not fluent themselves. The language that had been passed down through countless generations began to die out in the one place it should have been safest, the family home. Within a single generation, the chain of transmission was broken in many families, and they lost the ability to communicate in their ancestral language. The suppression wasn't confined to the classroom. The constant message that their language was inferior took a deep psychological toll. Welsh speakers began to internalize this shame. The language became something for the home or the chapel, but not for the professional world of business, government, or academia. As young people left their villages for work in English-speaking cities, they often left their language behind, too. With them went folk traditions, oral histories, and centuries of poetry that were woven into the fabric of the language. There's a unique Welsh word, hiraeth. It describes a deep, poignant longing for home, tinged with a grief for what has been lost. This word took on a powerful new meaning as entire communities watched their linguistic heritage slowly disappear, generation by generation. But where there is suppression, there is often resistance. The spirit of the Welsh people would not be so easily extinguished. Towards the end of the 19th century, courageous figures like O.M. Edwards began to champion the cause of Welsh language education. The establishment of the University of Wales in 1893 was a crucial step, creating a space for Welsh to be studied and respected at a scholarly level. Throughout the 20th century, a groundswell of activism grew. Campaigners fought tirelessly for the rights of Welsh speakers, leading protests and demanding recognition. Their struggle culminated in the landmark Welsh Language Act of 1993, which finally gave Welsh equal status with English in public life in Wales. Today, the landscape is transformed. Welsh medium schools are thriving across the country. Over 30% of primary school children now receive their education in Welsh. The very language that educational policy once tried to eradicate is now protected and promoted by law. The story of the Welsh language is a powerful testament to how education can be used as both a weapon and a remedy. The same schools that were once instruments of cultural erasure have now become the primary vehicles for its revival. The Welsh experience shows the incredible resilience of a culture and an identity in the face of overwhelming institutional power. However, the scars of this history remain. A language that was once spoken by nearly everyone in Wales is now spoken by just over 500,000 people. The campaign of suppression may have officially ended, but its echoes can still be heard in communities where the ancient tongue of Wales is now a foreign language. The fight to reclaim what was lost continues every day. You've been watching Erased Voices on Vintage World. If you found this exploration of our shared history valuable, please support our channel by subscribing and hitting that like button. Next week, we'll examine how colonial education systems shaped national identities across the former British Empire. Until then, remember that a language is more than just words. It's a repository of history, culture, and a unique way of seeing the world. Once lost, it may never be fully recovered. Thanks for watching.